Okay, year 10, I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey with your passive amplifier. Make sure that you got the first part of the project, which is the inspirational board. Look at some design movements, such as the Memphis design. Look at the characteristics of these designs. Find out a little bit about the history. But more importantly, I want you to collect a range of images that you could use to inspire your ideas. Site study. It's always good to take a study of the room and look at the different types of furniture, the colour schemes, the flooring, what type of equipment you've got in the room, so that when you produce your passive amplifier, it blends in nicely with the existing surroundings. Client interview. Yeah, just ensure that you've carried that out and answered the questions with your client. Device study. One of the most important parts of this project are the dimensions of the actual device. The height, the width, the thickness of the device, so that we know that when you're designing your product, everything fits in nicely. Okay, good. Specification. Well, I gave you the specification at the beginning, but what I want you to do is just change some of the specification points to suit your particular project. Okay, good. Sketches. If you haven't done them, or you have done them in the classroom, if you've left them in school, you can always whack together a couple of thumbnail sketches and put them into your ideas page. This is going to help you for your Fusion 360 designs. Now, we're very lucky. Most of us, in fact the whole class, has made some form of model, or you've had some machining done. I would put your drawings into solution 1 and 2, but with regard to the development, your foam block models, your MDF layers, your testing can go into the development section of this folder. Okay. Now brings me on to Fusion 360. I'm going to give you a copy of this, and you can modify it to suit later. Okay. So anyway, if you look at this, we've got a back, a middle, and a front. Okay, to this particular design. But what I'm going to do with the back, I need to label the components. So this one, I'm going to call it middle layer. Right. This is going to be called front layer. And this one's already called back, but I'm just going to rename that back layer. Okay. And then we've got these are the different bolts that we got that I've downloaded. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much about the bolts. Okay. Good, good. So the back layer. What I'm going to do with the back layer, first of all, if I right click, I want to ground that back layer. What that means is that back layer can no longer move. Okay. I can move all the other components, but not the back layer. Okay. Now the back layer, what I also need to do is let the computer know which material that is. So I know that it's plastic, it's acrylic. Okay. So I'm going to bring that across there so we know that that material is acrylic. The middle layer, close that down. The middle layer, I do the same. I right click, physical material, and this material is pulled on the menu here. It's wood, and we know that it's MDF. This one here, it's MDF, close. And we do the same with the front layer, physical material, and we'll just call that ABS plastic. Good. I'll talk about that later. So these were made in a sketch. If you look at the sketches here, you can see that, like with 2D design, you draw a center line, you draw a circle, you mirror about that center line, and then you just start extruding each component. Okay, so I'll finish sketch on there. Now I'm going to come on to assembly. When we're assembling, what I tend to do is go joint. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go from this joint here to this hole here, right? And they should line up nicely. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring that forward, and if I click on top, you can now see from a top view I can get it exactly right. If I click OK, job is done. I'll repeat the same process for the front, so that now is fixed to that component. Okay. If I do the same here with the joint, assemble joint, I'm going from this hole to this hole here. I go from the top again, roll back, let's have a look, just click an isometric view on it, and if you look at it, it's actually fitted in perfectly. Okay, so I click OK. Now it's a similar sort of thing with the screws. Let's have a look. Assemble, joint, click OK. Now, will it let me put that screw into... Now, because it's a screw, it's not considered a component. So what I have to do with the screws is go modify, move, copy. So I select my item. Okay, I can move that across here, move it up. I'll just get a front view of it first so I can see exactly where I'm going. There you go. So move that across here, move it up. Okay, now you can see I've put those 4 screws in position. That is a very, very good start. Now what I'm mainly to do is just delete that if I can. Work out which bolt that is. It's that one's gone. Right, fantastic. Good, so that's gone. So I can also turn off my joints so these disappear, and there we have it, our finished item. Okay. Right, next stage. If I click on this little house shape here, that brings me into an isometric drawing view. Now what I can do is take it over to render. So we're on 8 minutes, so now I can start rendering this component. So rendering. Well, if I look at this now, I probably want my middle layer to be red, so I can do that. I want the front layer to be white. Let's get that on there. Front layer should be white. I don't want that to be see-through, and the rear layer I will also have ABS white. So if we look at that now, we can see that that's fitted up quite nicely. Good. Now you can play around with different colours. I'll just go down to click on library. We'll look at plastic. You could even look at paint. If I go for glossy paint, what I can do is just put that on the top there and have glossy paint on that front layer. I could have red paint on that middle layer, like so. Okay. And we shall just see how this works out now. So I'm very happy with that, so I get rid of the appearance. Now with the setup, if I go into scene settings and I come over here and I hover over environment, if I click into the environment library, I can bring in different backgrounds. Okay, so I'm going to choose my favorite. I'm going to put that into a field, so just drag and drop that in like so. we are. So there's our product. Now you can take different screenshots of this if you wish, but if I click on in canvas render, let's see what happens. Okay, so now what you've got, the computer is producing a rendering of that drawing. Now if you look here, you can see the progress of the iterations. That does take a bit of time. But if we're not happy with that reflective surface, what I may have to do, if I just click stop in canvas render and I go back into my material wheel again, appearance, and I change my material like so. You can see it's quite reflective because I've chosen the acrylic for the front layer. If I was to do this, just put, say I'll change the colour now. If I had a yellow back, go back into that. Now that looks a bit, yeah, it looks quite different. I can do the same again. And if you can see the metallic screws showing through, if I go in canvas render, now that's going to run through, and as it runs through I can do a multitude of things. I can hit a print screen button, I can wait till that runs, till that finishes down to here. But if I hit the print screen button on my computer like so, and I go into my slides, what I can then do on my slides, I can paste that screenshot into my slides. And if it was me personally, I would just get a range of different views. That's what I would do, get a range of different views and put them into your final idea page. And if you really want to be clever, which is quite easy, you can go back into Fusion. Alright, I'm just going to stop the iteration there in canvas render. If I go back into the design, if you wanted to, you could try changing the shapes of your original design. But personally, I would leave that for now and just use this as a training aid. I think that's about it. Okay, you could also try different, like side views. Okay, like so. Go back into Fusion, back into render. You can see we're having different views there. In canvas render, it'll do the same again. Okay. Now saying that probably is enough for you to play around with today. I'll send you this file on Classroom. Okay, and I will call it a day for now. But what you can do is change the colours, play around with the background, right? Get different views, put them into your slides. Now I know very well that some of your work is on the computer at school. I'll see if I can go in, allocate your work, and then I'll have to send you each an individual breakdown of your slides. Of your 2D design. Alright, thank you for that. Alright, see you soon. Hope you're all well. Mr. Plunkett.